Good night and welcome to Mindful Live 355. I am Nathan Springer, your co-host. Thank you for being here. It is presently Thursday, the 29th of February, the last day in February. Can you believe that? The second month is gone. That's that. It have a place in Tobago does sell a chicken roti for $65, RL says. By place, you mean Magdalena Grand? Is this some 5-star hotel where when you buy that roti it's roti? Is this a lobster roti? You know, with gold flakes around it or something like that? Because $65 could never be for a chicken roti in my book. This is a 10-ton cooler. Well, that is y'all Tobagonians' fault. Y'all were supposed to put that person out of business. By the time they come with this joke of $65 for a roti, they're supposed to understand that they wouldn't make any money on that day. Lobster roti is $150. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. One what? What are we really talking about here? The tourists probably buying it. Yeah, well, I would hope it's only the tourists. I hope our local people aren't buying that. Check the cafe in Santa Cruz. What about the airport selling doubles for $8? Well, $8 doubles still possible. I'll take $8 doubles over $65 roti. I'ma tell you that. I feel like I'm waiting to come out of jail or something. Hey, sorry about that, sir. My apologies. What's going on, Trini? What's up? It's funny because right before I come home, I was right up the hill talking to my brethren. I come from work and I was talking about how KFC raised the price $2. And the man didn't even know that before that a big meal. Hey, goddess. Was $32. He thought a big meal was still $28. And we had a long conversation because the conversation lasted like 2 hours. We were talking about the fact that people in Trinidad would legitimately still buy KFC. Of course they would. I was like, yeah. He was talking about the profit of KFC of the back of prestige holders. And I was like, yes, people would continue to buy KFC because it's convenient, right? It's convenient, it's fast food. He talking about, people should really think about what they kind of consume. And I'm like, sure, yeah, we agree with that, right? We agree that people should kind of look at what they consume, but prestige holders not gonna stop making profit. KFC is a big brand and has been a big brand for a long time, and nobody gonna stop eating KFC just because the thing has reached an exorbitant price. If you want to go. Here's the interesting thing, Hotep. That whole conversation, we predicted that over on this live, because I don't know if you read why the Prestige Holdings CEO said they raised their prices. He gave the reason: minimum wage. So, just like we said was going to happen, okay, we raised minimum wage, yeah. Some people still even get a minimum wage raise yet. And everything surrounding you starts climbing with it. So, the $1 more, well, $3 more per hour you got, if you're a KFC buyer, done. Everything raises around it. Like, it's pointless. We, the customers, contribute to the BS with food vendors. Yes, we determine, we are the market. We are the market. If we do not buy, they cannot sell. No, like that was the conclusion of the conversation, the whole KFC thing, right? Because he was telling about somebody else coming up with an argument about we want to patronize the doubles vendor, but about the KFC Yeah.
And I don't think nobody. The thing is that um, the thing is to me is competition kind of gets you where it gets you. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I was telling like I love the free market. I love the competition because it gets you to a point where people have to compete for dollars and KFC don't have to compete for dollars necessarily. Well, they do in some regards, but not necessarily compete with every single body to get your dollars because everybody not doing the same thing KFC is doing. Sure, if I order, let's say if other alternatives come in the face of KFC and are better than KFC, obviously I'm saying KFC will run less profit, but at the present moment KFC will continue to regain profit. Doesn't KFC makes the two piece $100. I mean, in the future, people would still buy KFC.
Yeah, some people would still buy, and that's the nature of that. It's why oftentimes the recommendations made, like they were talking this week about the addiction we have to sugar and fatty foods, and KFC was one of the names specifically called and all of that. Yo, Roni, what's up, welcome. But I think the Diabetic Association was talking about that, and many people who talk, they recommend things like regulations and such, because what else are you going to do? That's what the government, that's the options open to the government. You increase the taxes on something, you increase the regulations, but really and truly, the options there are banning it, forcing people to not buy it, making it illegal, or making it more expensive for the most part. And is making something more expensive really and truly going to make, for sure, the people you want to buy it less, buy it less? If we are saying these people are addicted to these things like drugs, are drugs cheap by and large? I mean, I hope you all are not first-hand aware of the price of drugs, but drugs by and large are not cheap because people are addicted to them. You could sell them at exorbitant prices. They will find a way to buy it because they are addicted to it. So if you are saying people are addicted to those fast foods, I don't see how forcing the prices to raise would actually decrease people buying it. I don't think that works. Maybe you tax them heavier, so if they buy it more and they go in the hospital, their taxes pay a little more for their hospital stay. Maybe. But doesn't totally make sense to me. Anyway, people, we are inside the Thursday Talks. It's Thursday, and what we do on a Thursday is we talk. We discuss whatever topics jump up inside of the discussion. Feel free to ask a question, give an opinion, give a suggestion over in the chat there. If you want to talk, you can join the conversation, actually jump in and join and speak to me over there. But that's on TikTok. We are streaming live on Instagram and TikTok and on YouTube. If you are not subscribed over on YouTube, please do subscribe to Nathan Springer over there. Please do hit that like button, double tap the screen here on TikTok if you're wondering how to do that. And if you're looking at this on repeat over there on YouTube, you could drop a comment, tell me what you think, and please do hit that like button there too. So the refinery about to be sold, that about to be sold a while now. I'll see when it's sold. What about the idea of the government enforcing portion control like the Asian countries? How does the government enforce such a thing? If you're talking about Asian countries such as China, there's a big difference with China's governance style. I am not sure how you enforce portion control. The reality is nearly anything that you try to enforce or make people do to make them more healthy is really and truly just giving more power to the government. And you have to ask yourself at some point, do you want a government to have the power to control what, how, when, where you eat? Is your diet, when you feed yourself, something you would like Dr. Rowley determining for you?
It's funny how Trinidadians, not even really just Trinidadians per se, but it's funny how Trinidadians kind of, they want the government to implement things they think that should be implemented to better the society, rather than the society coming together as a conglomerate themselves
bro.
But indeed, the government enforce monogamy. The people enforce monogamy.
Bro, it's kind of ridiculous, but understandable at the same time. So often, one of the first things people in Trinidad see when they see a problem is why the government do. Too much traffic on the road. Why the government have all these people with car? Why the government supposed to make sure some of these people ain't have no car? Too much car on this road. By the government had to make sure the government. And then when one Mr. Colm decides to raise taxes on your car, so now the nice car you were aiming to buy a Fielder, a nice little Fielder, you're scraping in at about 60. Bam! The price jump. 80, 90, somebody telling you 110, now it's out of your range and you have to go to Aqua. And you vex, you're cussing Colm. Look what you do. This dirty so. Look, they ain't care about no poor people. But weren't you the one asking the government to do something? That's what the government does. That's how the government does something. We have pressure groups like Arrive Alive all around lamenting when they see people's blood spilled on the nation's roads, and I don't like to see it either. Those accidents and people flip and car bend over and bones and limbs, and they're lamenting about that horrible thing. We have to, and what's the solution to say? The government. Let's make sure the government does some. These point system come in now. Now you have to do points according to the tickets. And what would you know if you get enough? You have to go do a program at the facility that they run. Okay. So that's the solution, right? Government. Always. Right. I wonder if we have the most cars here per capita in the Caribbean. I will say in the Caribbean without a doubt. I can't even imagine which Caribbean country would have more cars per capita than here. I don't know globally where we stand, but I presume even on a global standard, we are pretty high up. I think I vaguely remember a news article about that a while ago. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. What's up, Roni? Hello.
Today, I had the privilege. Hi, everybody. Sorry. I had the privilege to listen to stupid people talk. It was so funny sitting there in my work lunchroom listening to all these idiots. This is me, right? I don't say anything anymore. Really can't. So let's see what you think. Anything it's affecting people, just get it. How to pay themselves. People who get minimum, just like shoes and almost every regular job. So when the grocery owner have to get employed.
Raise prices.
So that you it's counterproductive to find a way. People to find a way to cheaper plan.
The truth is you're supposed to be living within your means, and the way you increase your salary is by providing more value in the system. That's kind of how it works. You want more, provide more in the system. You want more money, provide more of that skill. Ronnie, you have cakes. You understand this perfectly. If you bake no cakes, or your cakes are rubbish. Ronnie cakes, as far as I know, are not rubbish, just by the way. Good cakes. Top. Cake couture, is it? Top. Very well. But if you bake rubbish cakes, you are not supposed to just magically make money. How would you make money? Are you going to steal the money from people? If people don't want to buy your cakes, how do you make the money? The way you make the money is you make good cakes. You keep making those good cakes, and people will pay you for it. That way you don't have to worry and wonder about minimum wage. And I understand that. I understand. I'm not saying everyone has to be an entrepreneur in how we think about that, but I think the way everyone should think of their work, of the services they provide, they should think about it in nearly an entrepreneurial perspective. And that's kind of what many of the labor unions attempt to do in the job space, where they attempt to allow workers to understand that you have a valued resource, which is your labor, and you could bargain your labor, holding back your labor against your employer to get better wages. That makes sense. Okay, is your skill of such that the person who is paying you to use that skill understands it's so limited they would pay you more? If it is not, then do you deserve more? You know that strange word that people like to use? Deserve?
Like, so funny. Yeah, serious. Guys, this is one of those entities that is, well, they used to pay. I am guaranteed, right? This salary. It's minimum wage. They probably just bring it to minimum wage and paying over anymore. Because that's a high to pay. Whichever you have.
Yep.
So how you expect them to pay those employees? They have to raise the price of the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think KFC will go for minimum wage, by the way.
There are different levels. There are different levels.
Different levels. So, but I mean that is just the thing for me, man. Again, I don't know why people think that companies kind of operate on this free floating kind of thing. I don't know if anybody really see that Twitter is a blaze of cooking at the moment, right? Yeah, Nathan, I don't know if you're seeing that on Twitter X, by the way. That people are vexed that a woman is cooking things from scratch. So, and that's interesting because this conversation. So there was a liberal guy. He made a stitch to the video talking about. Basically, he was a communist. Yeah. But he was talking about his book written, talking about the leisure class of people, and speaking about the fact that wealthy people don't produce anything; they just live off of leisure because they are wealthy. Well, for one, I don't know how they think people come about wealth. But then again, most liberals kind of think wealth is this thing that is stolen from every single body on the face of the planet.
Yep, it's a zero-sum game. If you have it, you took it from someone.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that generally your wealthy class is the people that produce the most. So they have the option to be leisurely in some regards, but I don't think people quite understand how businesses can operate. They believe businesses run on this free-floating leisure type behavior, where just because the CEO of the company or the owner of the company could have this megatons of money, that the business just have tons of money. Not because McDonald's is the largest franchise in the world that has a total asset revenue of 80 something billion, that they could afford for one of their locations to pay people $60 an hour.
You know, a lot of those people, when they speak on that, they don't understand maths, and they don't understand scale. Many of the very wealthy people in the world are very wealthy because of the scale they do something on. If I am able to make the profit of 1 cent off of every single human on this earth, I will be a very wealthy man. If I could make 1 cent recurring every month, I will probably be, if not the wealthiest, one of the wealthiest men. It would make me quite a lot of money. Yes. But if my profit margin is 1 cent on each rinky dink I sell, whatever it is I sell do hockeys, do hippies, whatever it is. I make 1 cent on it and it sells for $20, but my profit is 1 cent. And you look at me and say, that thing is too expensive. We need the government to get in there and somehow control his prices to drop that. Because look at money he makes. He's a very rich man. He's not supposed to be that rich. Okay, let's force the price to drop. It's only 1 cent I make on each. If the price drops, I lose money on each. And that's the end of the business. And whatever use my rinky-dinks do huppies had in the society would be lost. And you would just de-incentivize anyone like me who has an interest in creating something to get value for themselves. You just told them, don't bother. It makes more sense you sit down and complain and wish that you could get the money of the rich. Because that's what we do over here. That's why subscriptions are profitable. Yes. If you're looking to generate wealth, that's one of the easiest ways. Get something that is very scalable. I mean, it's not like that is obvious what it's going to be, but get something that's very scalable and you get through. Wealthy class people actually work a lot managing their assets. I regularly say this in this life. Probably every week I mention this, that many people, especially those who are not as wealthy, they have lots of misconceptions that were sold to them by their Marxist teaching in their upbringing. They have an automatic hatred of anyone wealthy because their belief is if anyone has wealth, it's because they took it from someone else. The only reason you have a lot is because someone else has a less and you took it from those who have less. So what we need to do is find your more and reapportion it to everyone who has less. But that's not actually how a lot of it works. A lot of it works like people get a lot because they provide a good service. And if you're providing a good service, everyone actually benefits. People willingly give you resources because they like what you offer. They like the service or product that you give to the system, the society, and it works out perfectly. You make, people gain. I am working hard now. I am not wealthy, but I know damn sure my child will be. Well done, sir. Yeah, positive.
Each generational wealth, set up a system for generational wealth, trust fund. You're running a business and you're trying to study a different. Like you doing construction, you might tell your child to study accounting. Tell your child to go study, see, sense expansion program, marketing. It could be a source pulling your circle. Do you think that it's your parents to teach wealth generation children?
I am not a financial advisor. I'll preface it by saying that. But my opinion, I've said this before. I think the most important part in the generational wealth is the generational. So you want your next generation to be wealthy? You want your offspring to be wealthy? Then look at the stats that give people the best chance to make it. It's not having wealthy parents. It's having both parents. It's having a stable household. Yeah. The important part might actually be seeing how you fix the next generation, not making enough money for the next generation, because there's a possibility you could make lots of money and it will never be enough for the next generation if they are poor in mind and behavior. So first thing before you start listening and watching all the videos about buy a house on this and then put the house on the market and then you take that and you do that and you flip it around and then you have 1,000 there and then you take 100,000 and you use your disposable income and you have your recurring income before you even reach there. See about the generational part. Make sure that the next generation that is going to get whatever it is you're making is going to use it sensibly. That is what I think is the first important, and the second important thing for me in the Trinidad system, I would say positive radiation, is to not teach people this government kind of thinking. Allow people to understand how resources, wealth is generated in a system. Service, product, provided. Good one. Many people want it. Many people give you their resources for that service or product. Simple like that. And if you are able to have that concrete understanding, the ideas that you go forward with would or should at least represent that a little clearer.
Do you think involved in your business at a very young stage would help? Is it that okay, there are some parents who will tell you, come and work in my business and they don't pay you? There are some parents who have you enjoy the business. So you don't see it as being something that takes away from your arts. Do you think that is a factor to play in generational wealth?
Yeah, but I also understand that training discipline is such an important thing, and sometimes, especially from a child's perspective, it could be much more difficult to understand. So if you look at some of the more successful cultures and families, many of them may have their children nearly like child slaves to an extent, but some of them, they're trying to force a certain level of discipline. They're trying to insist that, okay, you understand that you have to wake up 5 o'clock if you want to keep this running, that you have to get in there early. Yo, Adriel Robinson, what's the good? You have to get in there early. That it's not about the money and the splurging. It's about what you could keep. It's about actually putting the effort there. And I understand that to an extent. But yes, allowing children to be able to enjoy some of those things and see the benefits, I think, would be a good way to allow for that. But most importantly, I think, is the discipline side. Most importantly, I might say the most important trait to learn in wealth generation is discipline. If you can make yourself do what your brain tells yourself to do, you're better than 90% of the people. And sacrifice. Well, the reason, that's why I say discipline at the top, because in order to sacrifice, you need discipline. If you don't have discipline, the idea of delaying gratification, which is what sacrifice does, is an impossible thing for you to grasp, because you don't have the discipline to do it. That's the most key part to me. Discipline. What's up, people? If any of you are inside of the live and wondering what we're doing, it's Thursday and we have the Thursday Talks. We're just talking. Any topic inside that people want to discuss, you ask your question and we talk about it. Ronnie said, I got a puppy and my level of discipline went up 10 points. So imagine a child and a husband. Yeah, Island Girl sees the world. You want to say something there?
So I didn't disagree with you so early. I usually listen passionately about something. I like to chime in. It's been a few months too. I've been busy, but this concept of wealth, right? Talking about just 1,000 there, close million. Talking about billions, because coming from a business background, I can tell you every millionaire gain their things and to sell this dream actually come. I can tell you experience that some cases it's just a matter of son who have to use their money to make more and works and nepotism thing. Give you an example. How C shapes wealth, right? So many years ago, everybody remember not center mall, center point. So just go and park. Anybody in center point. And then there's one of those names decided that he to put up and there was a headline splashing in the newspaper. How all they want Trinidad free to have to park his property, right? So I by Tax Act. And guess what? Same shameless man to come on the newspaper, Trinidad, whatever. Just a couple years before that, a change in the law, and anybody in a story get back 50% the original investment, right? Building. So while these people TV gaslight the rest of us, but oh, they were thing for to pay because if he put a million to build up of tax money,
You know,
and still charge him to park.
I understand totally what you say, Island Girl. Here's a part of that to me. It's what we were talking about at the beginning. Very often, some of those policies that we don't like are policies that we asked for. We were like, well, there's not enough parking. The government have to do something to make more parking. Well, the government does something and they make a policy that benefits their friend. We were talking about that like with the road traffic and the accidents, etc. It's very often we request those things. Now, you're talking about crony capitalism, and I have no brief to carry for crony capitalism. I understand that policy does influence a lot of where wealth is channeled and is herded into. I also understand that many people who lament about, it's not about working hard and having a good product. I had one. Many of them didn't have a good product and they didn't work hard. I don't think I know someone personally who has worked hard, had a good product or service, and was unable to achieve some level of success. I see it on a daily. I am a teacher. I despise the teaching we put out there that it's not about the effort you put out. It's only about nepotism and friend thing. While that is not true. It is not true. You look statistically, many of the millionaires were not children of millionaires. Many of the billionaires were not children of billionaires. Many of them made it in one generation. Now, I'm not saying everyone was honest and earnest and did the right thing. I'm not talking about that because I'm not telling you how to be a billionaire. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making enough to be comfortable. And I don't see that you have discipline, a product and service that people want, and you are unable to make enough to be comfortable. Like, so go learn how to glue pipes together, be a plumber, do it reliably, and you will make money. If you're not making money, call me. We need some plumbers. Like, I disagree totally with that. And part of the thing I really hate with it, Trini Hotep, right before you jump in, is that there's a Marxist underpinning to it. Many people who speak like that learned to speak like that from people who suggested that there's some kind of, overclass and underclass, where the overclass oppresses the underclass, and the reason the overclass is wealthy is because they stole it from the underclass. That's a Marxist ideology. It's a Marxist thing, and the solution to that is for the government to go in there and redistribute the wealth. No thanks.
That's where I disagree. First of all, shouldn't be to create these solutions, right?
Fact.
Especially this government, because I see their solutions being more as a reactive, tip of the tongue kind of reaction, as opposed to a well thought out solution that addresses the root cause of the issue. And I'll go to the arrival accidents issue. A lot of the accidents that we have, right, is because there's clear mention of what we will taught when we get in our lesson. It is well that this country gets by paying for it and backing it, right? And instead of attacking the root cause, which is weeding out current license officers, right? And I can show you all, right? Yeah, I can tell you stories. I remember when I went for license. If you didn't pay for your license, you'll get failed on that test. If you didn't pay for it, I'm telling you. And I remember tell off the license officer and give him attitude, right? Because my father slowly passed away a few years ago. He be license officer, and so I had to rotten that license officer by my father pay so I could get on her, right?
Admittance to crimes here. We're admitting to crimes out here.
I am telling you, there's a lot of accidents that could have happened to me on the car because people don't get the regulations. And instead of attacking the root cause of the problem, just people getting their license corruptly, attack the end cause of the problem, just cars being on the road. If people get their license, they can't buy a car, right? And then who get their license, honestly, and could afford to buy a car, you have to raise the price of cars to stop people from do you to raise the ability to get a license and get a license to buy a car.
I agree. But here's the thing, Island Girl,
That's just one example.
with unintended consequences, because we don't actually have control of all of the secondary and tertiary knock-on effects of a lot of those decisions. So, okay, Ariel doubling up over the Island Girl. If you could hit it on mute. We make, if you make licensing more difficult, you are hoping that you are going to weed out corrupt actors. You may actually just make it easier for the corrupt actors to do their corruption, because to make licensing more difficult basically means failing more people, which makes it more difficult to pass. More difficult to pass might just send up the price. That's one of those unintended consequences we regularly have with things, where you see, it's not just about the government should do this and the government says they will do this and it happens. The government cannot just magically make things happen. Even if the government is totally honest in their desire to have something happen, people have to execute this.
So then let me say something, and I just want to ask you this one question.
Yeah.
Instead of making it harder to get your license, right? Why not easier to report the license officer and have them held accountable?
I have no problem with that.
I've migrated from Trinidad, a smaller island, right? I came back this week because I had a couple of funerals to attend. Let me tell you how Trinidad traumatizes you. I have a vehicle, my boyfriend purchased a vehicle. I tell another business. Went to the license office over the country that I live. Within 10 minutes, we were in and out of the license office. We get our paper, get the insurance on me name, come back within a week, right? Me, the same license officer with a smile. Within 5 minutes, she signed the paper, have it, my tires transferred it on your name. 5 minutes, right? You don't have to bribe anybody. You don't have to go and spend a tongue. You don't have to wait for a cashier. The same person that dealing with you, they collect the money and issue your receipt. When I driving in the town, right, and I see a police officer, right, or I see a roadblock, I just automatically get a mini heart attack, right? I don't have a ticket to my name since I drive it 20 years now, and I just automatically get a heart attack. Police officers, they have on your pass, they hello ma'am, good day ma'am, right? They ain't stopping you or nothing, right? And you know what I'm checking for? Checking that you're wearing your seatbelt. Just checking to see if every two license plates on the vehicle. That's how Trinidad traumatizes you. Driving in countries, I drove with a native of the country and they just drive through a road without a seatbelt. Please get them right to go. Police actually looking for crime, looking for to buy from him. A police officer was selling his vehicle, right? And he could have answered any question you want because we wanted to get our driving over there. Okay, well, I need to have a temporary license, three temporary licenses, one after the other in sequence. The nearest police station, just they will give something like a certificate of character, the licensing division. To have a local license from your country, you have to take a test.
Yeah, the licensing division. I've heard it many places. Licensing division is one of those places you go in another country and you recognize that things in Trinidad that don't work are kind of that way on purpose. It's not that it cannot work because there are many places where things like licensing does work. But I've heard many people actually highlight part of the issue with that, and part of the issue with that is the level of bureaucracy that we create in our country. Bureaucracy hides and makes space for a lot of the goody to run in those cases. The bureaucracy,
For corruption.
yes, it creates that little space. It creates that little space because it has to go to this one and that 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 one. And now we really have to pay to speed up the process. But if it was straightforward,
Multi-million dollar containers. Multi-million containers. You hear me?
mm-hmm,
Hundreds of thousands of sometimes in just materials and stuff. Right? And the customs officer is so professional. They will take the container off the port with the papers and go straight away. So in case of in the construction industry, so you go to where and it's building houses, right? And the customs officer show up with a customs vehicle, right? Sit down and watch it open the container, right? You don't have to bribe nobody.
well, I was going to tell you in Trinidad you could get that too for a fee.
You take the papers and it's a set fee for the service. So if you're a customs officer to come and facilitate that there, and in some cases you have to because of the type of materials it is, you don't want to shift around because it could get damaged, right? So if you want to just come there, so when you offload it to repack the container to bring it back to unpack, right? They come there and it's a set fee. You pay a
But
fee,
well,
right?
Island Girl, in Trinidad we have things better than that. Eh? If you pay the right amount, you don't even get the container search to just pass it straight through. So you know we beat you all back. Trini Hotep, you're waiting a while there, bro. What's up?
I think people have this weird antagonistic nature to LT business people, and it's just weird. I'm sure that
You know,
addictive nature to the 1%.
just now, Hotep, just before you continue, as you say that, it clicked something in my mind. I don't understand, and this is to tell you, is some kind of trickery happening. How people hate wealthy business people more than the politicians. Politicians convince you to like them and hate the business people. That is skill on politicians' part. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, it is, but it's this level of vindictiveness is crazy. It's not only happening in Trinidad. People hate Elon Musk, people hate Bill Gates, people hate all wealthy people.
Well, I mean, Bill Gates.
Because it's right, but you know this generalization, the wealthy class of people in these unethical monsters behind agree, see more fingers saying Smeagol yelling mine starring, but the thing about it is this, right? When you have people talking, if a black man create a grocery, a community, he is extorting and exploiting the poor black people. He make a business to feed people on goods and services. You see, this is the problem. They're wealthy because they have goods and services to sell. If you the people want to purchase goods and services, choose not to. You see, you could go and hunt for your food. You don't need the convenience grocery store and all that there. So, being mad at the fact that GT making money, a multi-million, is ridiculous when you need convenience. You cannot Prestige Holdings for KFC being $51. You don't want the convenience of fried chicken when they hunt your chicken, put an arrow through it, and create some good vegetable, actual vegetable, and fry.
Yeah.
But no, convenience. You see, I need people to just stop it all entirely. Socialism is a little too much ingrained in society. Make Michael Jordan a rich man because choose. Make people rich because you're dumb things. That's fine. Let people enjoy themselves because you're. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I do. I do. I
No, it's like general statement. Saying
and
because it,
it's a general statement, and I agree with the general statement because you do see the sentiment out there a lot. Many people with unsubstantiated hate for anyone that is wealthier than them, and the reasons they say sometimes don't make sense. Go ahead, positive. What's that?
I want to jump in and ask two questions. One, sometimes these rich guys who we quote unquote I got this like because I fight them down. All I want to learn from them is the mindset. Everywhere you see them wearing brands. I can't tell when last I've seen Elon Musk pay a $5,000 Nike. He's the guy who walk in for a little 10 days to go and buy the brand name. Why? Because they want a status. What's the difference between a brand name shoe and a unbranded shoe? Come on.
Well,
I'm spending money on something at that level. I have to know the features. If I want a $7,000 phone, I'm buying it based on the features it has. I think I need. I am not going to be buying an iPhone because I see Michael Jordan walk off the stage with an iPhone. Because Michael Jordan would not buy that. The company would give him that. Just to get me to spend my money.
so that he understands this thing, right? It's called value. You see, the difference between a Nike slippers, ding ding, is nothing different. You use it to walk, cover your foot. But the point of it is called value. People give value to everything. We give value to Nike shoes because it's a brand. See somebody who we wear it. That's the truth of the matter, right? Why do you think people ugly looking Balenciaga? Because people who wear that they value.
because they're pedos. Ronnie, jump in quick. You say I was muting and unmuting. You was muting and unmuting. Jump in. What are you saying?
So the tumor has come and all the oh no, but to go back. A long time she said
Right.
the whole thing about
Yeah.
and the
Mm-hmm.
I don't have no problem with that though, right? Honestly, I don't. Especially when right? So how I don't right because I personally my problem is fixed by powers that is I don't really care it, but if you call it and you come this they have to incentivize it. Sometimes the people out to thing happen. So I don't have a problem if they say to provide skin for somebody and I don't get wrong if I provide a new should pay for it. Guess what? Yes, I get back I paid for it. The packet have employees. They have to have cleaners, they have to have security. Those things are expenditure. I need to start paying in fees. How much that I bill?
Tell me I want everything for free when you pay back everything.
No, listen, this is the thing. Getting back his money that he invested in building. It's about the have to put out every month to pay in fees to maintain the packet. So why should the people be parking there for getting security, getting a clean spot, thief in your car? So I don't want to pay for that. And put it up, stolen,
I believe your complaint, Island Girl sees the wool. If I'm catching it right, is kind of the way he said it that Trinis like things for free, and it seems like he's looking down on Trinis for wanting a free opportunity while he is taking opportunities that comes his way. And I can understand that there's some hypocrisy on his part. I get that, and you see that.
Free because he had to put out how much millions of dollars to build it in the first place. It's not to say that we're saying well, here's a grant. He had to put all the money. Now
But
he
you
got
getting
back.
150% of it?
Yeah, but you have to put it out. Please, if you did, you would
And that's the thing. That's
If
the
you
thing.
didn't have it,
Yeah, but you get that from generational wealth because you're already. And here's another one.
in up
Here's another. There is a coconut estate in Orange Grove right there in Tacarigua, right?
Blue Waters.
Right? How much he being? How much 100 acres decent and how much he paying for it? And a few years ago, clear election time, there was how much acres of land in Shagaram was being leased to one of that same community for $1 a year or $10 a year or something. And that's what I'm saying. So and when I was young and coming up in my career, I used to go to all of those conventions and Jack have those talks with those quote unquote business people talking about get rich and talking to us MBA students, the brightest of the bright about how they make it rich, right? The thing is, you're dishonest. You're dishonest in how you make it rich because a lot of those things that I know, my father was a small contractor. A lot of them do small businessmen what if they don't want to pay you, they will run you around for years because they know you got a little small man lawyer. They have a team of lawyers to run the case so that you spend more money fees than they owe you. 60,000 or 1,000 they owe you. And that's what I keep saying. Now my eyes have been opened. With this beautiful thing called TikTok, your eyes open to lots of things. And you see how they take advantage of the smaller, step on them, get higher, and then turn around and say, can't be like inspire nothing.
You know, Trini Girl sees the world. I don't know where. I understand that there are many advantageous people, but that inability to reach forward because of the bigger, I don't see that out there. I see people constantly doing it. You're talking about the land and who get land and how much they pay for the land. All Caroni workers got 2 acres of farming land for $3.95. Up till now, 99% of it is still covered by bush with mongoose running through it. Not a thing growing. Now, someone of these big boys from a certain community comes in and somehow he wheels and deals and secures a 10-acre piece for him. And people vex because now he is actually using it. He's creating something and now he's making money from it. Watch. They using thing. The government give them that land for free and they're doing nothing. And what are they because they're doing something. What are you doing? You are sitting on your 2 acres, letting bush grow on it, wishing that the government would tax the wealthy person and give me a little something. I want government work. And they had to raise the government work fee. No, I don't buy that. I see young people out here creating businesses on a daily and making it. Young people without any education.
I acquired 2 acres of land, right? I acquired.
In Trinidad?
In Trinidad.
How did you do that? With the rich people stopping you?
I didn't buy it, I leased it. And 4 years ago, 4 years, you hear me? I went to apply for a farm. All the paper, everything. 4 years ago. They say, when it's done, it will attack you. 4 years later, I ain't get a phone.
Well,
Farmers license. You know how much it is to develop 2 acres of land?
yes.
So if it's in your car, you would, right? Let me say I was working in the
Yes.
or you were skilled, a driver, or a loader, somebody unskilled. Marks is something, right? What it is you would do, you can sell it.
Let me tell you what you will do. Because in case you don't know, I live among a lot of Caroni workers, former. And I know many of them who developed the 2 acres themselves with their hands because they were farmers. They know how to plant. And wait. And many of the tractor men were former Caroni workers too. So many of them were doing things and deals with them. Okay, you don't have to pay me now. When you go down in the market, you'll pay me. The people who didn't do it didn't want to do it. The government, when it was pretty early in it, the government went around to each one of them with the 2 acres and offered to dig a pond for free. The government excavator, ponds in each 2 acres, so you have access to water even in the dry season, because the water table in central Trinidad is high enough that once you have a hole deep enough, it would always have water. The government offered that. Many of them weren't interested because they didn't care. It's not that the well. Wait. It's not that the well. It's not that the wealthy stopped them from being able to get it. It's that they didn't go out and do it.
But not everybody will see it that way, because I plant an acre of planting and I didn't see one from it, because you know why?
Why?
I wasn't living on 2 acres of land and they come and thief it all. They thief my hammock.
Do you think the wealthy people did that?
Huh?
Do you think the wealthiest people did that?
Wealthiest people did that. But you know who benefits from the state's resources? Not the predial losses, the police department that was supposed to be protecting it and investigating it.
I know. They're woefully understaffed.
If there is no justice, then what is the point? I was in the police station 2 days ago because I had to see about some documentation. And this woman, all of her goods got stolen. And the police officer shouting at her, go back to them and tell them, the officer in the station say that we can't deal with it. Them have to deal with it. Meaning predial larceny, right?
I know that. I'm farming. I know that.
To do it. Why would I invested almost 50,000? That 2 acres of land kick over of a year and a half, right? Everything I got stolen, I planted, right? That was long-term crops, not the little pimento and thing that I get. I'm gonna get a little to treat tomatoes and stuff that I did domestically. My major investment was planting. It got stolen. They didn't thief in the crops, they thief in the bastards.
And I don't doubt that. And I don't doubt there's difficulty in that. Here's the reality. Those who make it wealthy, those who make it wealthy face those same difficulties. There are people who had the mini-mart. I know some Chinese people started off with their mini-mart. They were robbed going and coming. But they stuck to it. They got gun butts for 10 years. But now they are pretty successful with it. And what, Trini, you have something going on with your mic there, bro. And if you look at them 10 years later and envy their success, you have to understand, are you willing to take gun butt for 10 years to be successful? I understand. I understand that you shouldn't have to do that, but that is the reality that we live in. And those problems, the hurdles that you are talking about there, are not hurdles set before you by those wealthier than you. Those, in fact, are hurdles set before you by very often those who are poorer than you. So it's not, if you watch the goalposts just move there, because we were saying that the reason many don't make it, it's because the wealthy are holding and hugging the space. But now we're seeing the reason many don't make it is because there are people who make it impossible for you to put an investment out there. I have a garden. I know I want to mind some animals bad. I love my animals, but I know I cannot put animals out there, because the moment a goat bleat out there, somebody is gone with him. I understand that.
So
not the rich people fault.
Show you a holistic point of view, right? If it is the same government that we say that we to solve our problems, right? Taking the vast majority of our very limited resources within this country, which is our tax dollars and our patrimony, natural resources the country has, right? And giving it a particular class of people, and was actually funding the public service.
Do you know how much of our budget goes to transfers? As an accountant, do you know how much of our budget goes to salaries and transfers?
Yes, billions of
proportion, by proportion, by percentage, because you're saying that the reason we can't get more is because they're taking it and giving it to a certain, I suppose you mean the wealthiest class. But does the majority of our budget, on a factual basis, does the majority of our budget go to the wealthiest people? Is that a factual claim? Or is it, when you look at the transfers and salaries that are included in our budget and you look at the breakdown, actually the majority doesn't go to that class?
So let me ask you a question. Do you trust the figure so to you in terms of what goes where and who spends what?
Not totally, not totally, but I trust, but I trust how countries generally function. And you look at every country in the West, and although the Marxists and socialists would like to tell you we need to eat the rich and tax the rich more, all countries in the West, the wealthier are net givers, and then they are net takers in the system that are not the wealthier by and large. You could go and look at these numbers, and the numbers make mathematical sense. You understand how it works. The system. Go ahead.
It might make mathematical sense, but I came out of the government service and I know that,
Mm-hmm.
and I know for the number, right? And the thing is, I try to hold. I don't hate the rich. I hate the hypocrisy of those to step on you and get up there and then come and say, "Be like me." You're not actually getting to be like me. I hate hypocrisy, and I don't scorn that create hindrances for those who just don't want to do it. But I dislike the principle, concept, and the quote-unquote reality that you work hard, right? But you have to face all these hindrances in working hard. There is no justice when that happens. Because in some cases, certain cases, yeah, you go take, but it's about the people, and they don't have to pick a back half. And there's another like that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the truth of it is, I don't dislike rich people. I dislike the fact that people get rich, right?
Mm-hmm.
And pretend that they didn't get rich.
So you're saying everyone who gained wealth gained it through.
But I'm not saying everyone, but I am saying that there are people who gain wealth and got it like that.
But so if I get rich, if I'm not saying I'm rich, but let's say I'm rich and I made it through a combination of the things I do: teaching, farming, contracting, and online content. And I am telling you all that through discipline and putting something out there that people enjoy, you could be here too. I didn't cheat TikTok. I didn't put in any code to get more followers. For like 2 years, I made one video per day at minimum. So that's over 600 videos I put out there on a daily basis. Rain, sun, doesn't matter. That's how I made it at that level. And I'm telling you, okay, if you want to get so much and so much followers, you have to do that. What I despise is people in the background sitting down with 2 followers. I'm speaking on the follower basis as an analogy. With 2 followers telling you, nah, boy, all of them update, them is cheating, them is putting code in the TikTok and thing, and boy, them buy followers in it. No. I am telling you, I know I got here, and it's not all so. And it seems, you know what kind of annoys me sometimes too? That some of the people who encourage that kind of thinking, like in the United States, many of the black intellectuals who tell black people that white supremacy is keeping you down and the white privilege and blah, 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 they're very wealthy, living in exclusive communities, looking at you, telling you you can't make it. What we need is the government to get more power to put some communism in place, and then you would make it, because it's the rich white people, it's the 1% stopping you. No, fire for those people. Throw them away. They are making wealth and telling you that you cannot. Work hard and do it, because that's the only way it's going to happen. Sorry, there's no daddy you can beg. Ronnie, what's going on?
I just wanted to just a little thing to what you were saying. Even if the true, say, illegal means, right? Does that take out advice given? Is it advice wrong? That's value as well. Okay, that's exactly what they're telling you. To be disciplined, you need to have a only city, right? Okay, cool. I don't want to see you because drugs in the country and me to make your money. So I never anyway. You know, like the takeaway actual fact of sincere the truth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I cannot have respect for you. You do one thing to get rich.
nurtured and to me. I really can't. It's plenty discipline to bring drugs in.
But Ronnie, here's the thing I don't understand, right? Because to reach a certain pinnacle, you have to do whatever you want to do in terms of power, right? Because everybody likes to talk about their powerful. The thing about it is to reach a certain point. Let's take Trinidad Tobago Cement Limited. At one point in time, it wasn't a big company that was, right? It was a small company. It was a small business, right? They couldn't have the sway they have in terms of a monopoly upon the cement business unless they reach a pinnacle and height of the company that they are. That's just the truth, right? So even if TCL spin wrong and say, well, if you want to get like TCL, you would have to work diligently and hard, discipline, they're not wrong. Because TCL worked to become the company it is in order to walk cronyism. That's just the truth of the matter.
Good point.
You all can watch it however you want to watch it.
That's a very good point Trini who said.
Start off with cronyism.
Because
Then start off with cronyism. They reach the point of a pinnacle to attain cronyism. That's just the truth.
because if you speak to people who are older and who paid attention, so I have a lot of family, well, not a lot, some family who similar to me, they were always paying attention to news, so they are familiar with some of those things. And many of the elderly people, they were around. They could tell you about some families when they first came and the first patriarch beat the road, starting walking the road at 5 o'clock, going back home at 8 o'clock in the night, selling things out of bags, trusting to all the people and risking not getting paid by local tricky Trinidadians that wouldn't pay them because they are foreigners, and they take that licks. They take the Hudson, open the one little stall, get a bigger store, open a second branch, open a third branch, and now their children are living rich off of that wealth. And you are angry. You're saying, well, they don't deserve that. I don't know how you measure what is deserved.
They see the children who know businesses on the backs of those accomplishments. Right?
But Island Girl, that's what we are aiming for our children, not so? At least I know that. I want my child to be able to open something or start something or do something off of the back of my accomplishment. That's the hope I have as a parent. That's what parents want.
Your child to elevate themselves in life off the back of your accomplishments and off the heads of other people.
I didn't say off the heads of other people. I said off the back of my accomplishments. That's what I said.
A certain level, back of your accomplishments, and then elevate themselves, stepping on the toes of other people.
I can't say that for sure for everyone, but I know that doing business oftentimes steps on other people's toes. It's not a nursery rhyme kind of activity. There is some cut and thrust inside of it. So stepping on toes may not necessarily be a bad thing. I might in fact encourage some of my children step on a few toes, not illegally, not abuse, but you might have to step on a few toes. That's how the thing works. But that's what people want. People desire that their children are able to build something off of their back. Your aim is to create a foundation. Even if I'm a millionaire, my aim is that my millionaire foundation could create billionaires if so be it. Not necessarily that they have to have more money than me, but I want them to be able to create something off of what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing it. And the idea that somehow somebody else should get my accomplishments. So I should work hard till I'm 70. And when I have accumulated all I've accumulated, you're telling me the government should come in and take that and then pay public servants to sit down and do nothing. I don't like that. I'm not, well, not you. I'm not accusing you. I'm saying
I'm saying that when you're 70 and your children,
yes.
Right? Then they do the same way you did it. Right way, the ethical take advantage, subcontractors that work. Have people for them and do have people in the factories and when they get injured,
True.
when they take away the pension plans,
True.
right? And this is what I'm talking about. That. So, while I am saying nothing is wrong with hard work, it's not the argument I have. My argument is that the wealthy people of today, right, they would have built themselves and they would have come from something. They have that generational, right? Like if you are some kind of person and wealth was inherited and you're doing it wrong, and then say, oh, I'm an inspiration with not working hard. You may be working hard to scam people, but you're not working hard, right? And that's the reality of the world today. So while I'm saying yes, there is a possibility you can get rich. I've seen it happen, right? I've experienced. I've tried all kinds of businesses, right? I'm a professional accountant by nature, and I realize that working is thing. At the same time, what I'm saying is that rich people, I don't agree. I don't agree with any kind of inspiration. I think the people that work hard achieve a comfortable level, more admiration. The better you eat a little and live the right way.
So, but how are you assuming that everyone, well, not everyone, but so many people who are rich did it the wrong way? How is that the assumption?
It right there in your face.
How is it right there in my face? How?
I can 100 acres of government for $1.
Because you don't know who to speak to. Because you don't know who to speak to, and you are unable, and you are unable to show a business plan that is going to effectively use that.
Tell you so. I am not able to speak to. Is it that I speak to autism is not network is not.
But you have to understand, network is reality. So I am online here speaking to hundreds of people every day. Do you think someone whose child doesn't come from that is going to know the same amount of people and have the same network that my child or children are going to have? Obviously, my child is going to have an increased network. Am I now supposed to starve my child of this network and tell them you cannot use my network? We have to make it all fair and equal. That's not life. That's life.
People are responsible for what a lease of land for $1 million a year, right? Should be equal. They should be the ones that are given equal opportunity. And if the land was for lease, it should have been to everybody, not just a certain.
But Island Girl, lots of Trinidad land is for lease. You can apply for nearly any bit of state land and apply for it for lease. That's a known thing.
Let me do an experiment. On this live right now, let me go tomorrow and each apply for 10 acres and tell them you and see where you get for
With what business plan? Listen. If I just now, just now, one thing. If I am a known multi-millionaire and I apply for land as a real estate developer, the government can believe me when I say I'm going to build 5 islands. I'm going to build a water park, and that's going to increase commerce for the country in general. And the government at least can make an argument that, okay, that makes sense. So it's like the union. The union was offered Petrotrin to buy. Now, if some private person comes in and buys Petrotrin and makes a pound and a crown, you could be vexed with them how much you want, but the union didn't want to buy it. They could not have supplied an effective business plan to show how they're going to profitably manage it. Trini Hotep, what's that?
Nathan, come on. This fair and equal thing, this is business. Business is all about, if you want to be the best business, take all advantages. That's the facts I believe. I believe in that. You see, I would never lease. I mean, real, I would never lease anything to every single business who I can lease it to. That make no sense. I lease it to the man who will be an advantage to me. That's just the truth.
who will pay a kickback.
And that is an advantage to me.
And that's what I'm saying.
That is not unethical necessarily. Unethical necessarily. Now, in the governmental sense, it is because it's in bold
the old people used to say.
When you idea, see that these people can't do that up island and why Trinidad.
Wait though. It doesn't Jamaica complain that it's all Trinidadian products? If you speak to many business people, I speak to the TTMA. If you speak to many business people, a lot of the Caribbean are angry that Trinidad feels like they're bullying everyone. Guyana is currently upset about certain things because many of the auxiliary companies are just Trini companies with XYZ Guyana Limited attached on to the end, and the money flying back to the Twin Island over here, well, probably to Miami, where lots of them spend it. And that the old people had a saying for that. Who have more corn, feed more fowl. Listen, if my daddy gave me a crocus bag of corn, I could feed plenty fowl. If your daddy gave you 2 grains of corn, there are no fowls you could feed. That's just the reality we came into the existence with. There's no one out there that can make the whole thing fair for us. The only thing we could do, and that's why I was speaking about the advice of the wealthy. I'm not saying that what they're saying is 100% correct and they're always paragons of virtue who always... that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you started at 1, you can, through your own hard work and diligence, reach to 10. That's all I am saying. And the attitude, like, the only people who went from 1 to 100 had to steal to do it, so you know it even makes sense trying. That's a defeatist attitude, and it actually is propelled and propagated with a Marxist thinking underpinning that believes the only way that wealth is gained is by taking it from someone else, while the idea of capitalist free market is the rising tide raises all ships. So the reason they are wealthy is because they provided something of benefit.
I just wanted to say really resources, no, because I don't know to Five Island. Should probably go tomorrow. It's gorgeous. It is so much fun, and people just go like providing something, providing activity, they provide a product service, and then they provide employment. So I mean,
They do a profit, right? So then they should be leasing the government's land, which is our land, at a fair rate. And so,
shade so happy and a better.
Just now, just a question there, Ronnie, at that pause. If you had a choice as a country, you could decide to leave your land with nothing on it, or you could basically give it to someone, but when you give it to that person, they would make money, yes, which is so what, but while they make money, they provide employment, they provide entertaining services. What is the loss to the country there? Are you saying that what you are upset about is that they shouldn't be able to make money? So we as a country have to make money. Why? And they're providing services?
they shouldn't be able to make. I said that they should be able to make money by paying fairly for what they're making money for.
But okay, it was something that did not have a good use anyway. There's nothing that could have made money there. They're saying, okay, we're going to try a risky project. We don't want to have to promise that we're going to pay an exorbitant rent. If we could get it for free, we will bring something here that might be very entertaining. As a government, what you would tell them is no. Pay us $10,000 a month or do not build anything and let us get $0, have zero employment, have zero entertainment.
What you are saying is, in order for a small employment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rather enrich the rich further,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yes.
give away the country's resources to them.
Yes.
For small employment. That's
Yes.
what you are saying, right?
Yes.
But
Versus no employment.
outside there.
You see,
That's not how it goes outside there.
that is how it goes outside there. That's why Guyana has ExxonMobil.
A lot
That
of big hotel chains
listen.
and invest in small and other small islands. And that's not trying to
Listen, go read Island Girl Sees the World. Go read the nationalists' view of what they think about those hotels and their investment and where the money goes. The nationalists in those islands argue the same thing you argue against those hotels. The same thing, the same reason I'm speaking about here is why Guyana is willing to take a pittance while ExxonMobil goes with the lion's share. Because the options were, we could try to drill it ourselves with no expertise and get nothing. Or we could give someone else maybe even 99%, but we'd get 1%. So would I rather get 0%? Or would I rather someone gets 99 and I get 1? The attitude that you rather get 0% because you're so envious of someone getting 99% doesn't make sense to me.
That is gaslighting. Telling somebody that somebody who is getting an unfair advantage that you are.
What's fair? What is fair?
Let me tell you what's unfair. As a employee in this country, right?
Mm-hmm.
A member. How much percent of your salary that you pay?
What?
And in taxes.
Or in taxes? Enough.
Enough, right? 25%.
It's according to your level.
Certain amount. Right. 25% of a certain amount. Right? If it's under 80,000, I think 92,000 something, right? Full 25%. Over that, you minus the personal allowance.
I'm not salaried. I am unemployed. I'm not employed anyway.
Let me tell you. When do you know we only pay income tax in this country and now we have property tax, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really have an active inheritance tax. But do you know what we pay in taxes on at all?
What? Which I like. I love that.
Why it is that you people are putting buildings out for rent, taxes on it. You don't pay taxes on rental income, you know, at all. You don't pay tax.
And in your property tax, they have, anyway, I don't know. They have
Tax Act.
Mm.
You do not pay tax on a rental income. Right? So, all these people.
I'm not sure about that though, you know. I'll have to read the tax act because
The tax Act. You don't pay taxes on rent. I had screenshot it and highlighted and posted on Facebook some years ago. Right?
okay.
So, in your tail as an employee for traffic, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But you in a building, pay no taxes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Pay no tax money they have.
Yeah.
Right? While you might say that they have that wealth, have that generational wealth, isn't it unfair that they are making the same earnings that you are making and they don't have to pay taxes on their earnings?
You know what my solution to that is? Less taxes. My solution isn't that what should happen is they pay more to the government. For what? For Colmember to spend it where? And do what?
To tell us
I don't
people
think they pay taxes at all.
big
Exactly.
25 years ago, my cousin, this country to the Cayman Islands, right? She sat down and had a discussion with me. So she's an accountant, and she said, Cayman Islands is just a rock in the ocean, rocks scattered in the ocean right in Jamaica. They don't have one natural resource, not one, right? The thing they have is that people like to come on to and the ability to reach people, right? And they don't get sent in income. They're sent in income tax and it's and papers either. Right? Or Antigua and not 1 cent. None of these countries have natural resources. Oil. Had 2 oils. Right? In the 70s we had the foolish mismanagement.
Yes.
And we had one in which again 24 because of foolish mismanagement. Right? We have 2 pitch leagues. Now recently than 1 pitch league in this country. Right? We have fertile arable lands,
Yes.
right? Beautiful beaches. We don't have a tourism set. Natural gas, we have oil, right? And we still being taxed, and I say true in I love this country as being a damn salary. And I wasn't seeing a cent of taxes.
Yeah.
Not one.
I don't agree with taxes. You're in my lane there. I think the solution to that is not to tax the rich more; it's to tax everyone less. So I don't have a problem with the rich not paying any with.
Everyone else, what will happen is people income,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like the 2015, 2016 when government change, I used to do it plenty. I used to bring in seats.
Well, you're going into a discussion that I love because I always talk about the PNM government and them hedging people in and making it more difficult for business. So you're going into discussions I love. I don't disagree with anything you say there. Full agreement. I do think PNM is a crony capitalist government.
But what I'm saying about this country, healthy this country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I am not envious of, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I am mindful of that must live class, right? And I have to say I cannot go class now. The big earner in my family was widow. I'm widow never solved was 4 years later. Right?
Yikes.
Right in front of my front.
Hmm.
Right? Big news and everything solved. And so we see because you know I was me and my sister and pension and can't pay NIS, so she didn't get no NIS, so we have to take care of all of us in this house. So we going
You can't pay voluntary NIS?
anymore allowing it to my boy was out of work and he was asking them if he could have paid so he could have made it. They didn't let him do it. Stupid excuses now. Anyway, I digress from that, right? So we asked the loans,
Mm-hmm.
right? And with less of a salary, less than half of the salary I was making, right? Between 2010, 2015, I was old enough to now start to lime and go places and stuff. I had a big fat savings because like every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and sometimes you right, and you could have buy things and you could have things and buy things. Which means it's nonsense. My throwing out. And no,
So, a question on that. Do you agree with the fuel subsidy? Do you think they should have left on all of the fuel subsidies?
I would think money that we enjoy coming out because we do.
But do you know the fuel subsidies? Do you know the fuel subsidies are giving money to the rich more than the poor?
I don't, as I said, I don't hate
I'm not saying about hate. I'm talking about the fairness argument.
everybody benefits from it.
I'm-
Everybody benefits.
Yes, but they benefit exponentially more because they have more vehicles. Their vehicles are profit generating vehicles. They are able to make more money and pay less. So if you raise the subsidy, they make less.
But when people it's likely to be handful of those who still live and when and that's and a lot understand simple and it is that people continue getting favor and preferential treatment and our quality of life decreases. It has to decrease more because it's more like you make it right and you can see your way and you're safe. I just leave the window right to the grocery and come. I have a way to my to the step in my apartment. Just leave near to your house.
Mm-hmm.
I forget my car so much times in that
Perfect.
it would
Perfect. But all I'm saying, I have no argument against our poor governance. I have no argument for our poor governance. Sorry, but all I'm saying is I don't see this as necessarily being the fault of the wealthy. It is just the
because they are the one that they want to
So,
get that they get. So anybody they're gonna
so it does. Did I just not say the same? Listen, you all had a game.
just hold, let me just can't throw we had here and say that's just how something that's not how it is everywhere. And we have that's how it is here. It's not being placed. That is how it is. So that's as
because of
Actually, that is how it is everywhere. There's nowhere in the world.
corrupt license officers.
Let me put it this way. I will say this without fear of contradiction. There's nowhere in the world where richer people don't have it easier. There's nowhere in the world. That is how it is.
I want to say something.
Yeah, Darian.
Also don't agree statement. Get yanked and get benefits. Big benefits in terms of tax breaks concerned to that. Because the thing is, for me personally, and the very least is the rich tend to live off of debt most of the time.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, we tend to have
Connection bad. But he's right. There's a technique to all of that, and many of them live off of debt and keep the debt climbing, and eventually they'd see about that.
I just have two things I wanted to talk about. That I rebuttal if you one chain hotels that move to these islands, these Caribbean islands. They exploit those islands.
Yes.
Some of them any taxes. See that one 5 islands Spain, then they pay less than that. Right? So that is Sanders is the greatest offender of that. And Sanders cannot get the less than one tax. They build their hotel already, yeah? And they can't get that less than $1 tax. That big hotel that nobody could manage, nobody could afford. You come back, you could talk because I know you have technical.
Actually talk about what you just said there, right? The thing, before my question jumps again, the thing is, it's a win-win for both. The thing is, yes, 5 Islands was paying $1 stated to us. The thing is, it's a tourism injector. It brings USD foreign exchange into the country, into the economy. It helps the economy. So the thing is, yes, they do get breaks in that. The government sees a win in the situation of it brings people to the island, brings foreigners to the island. It opens up a public for people to actually go forth and spend money and bring USD in. And it's just an injection for that country. So the thing is, I personally think that Sandals should have moved into Tobago. I think that would have generally greatly increased the amount of foreign exchange Trinidad would have had availability to, because right practically nothing.
You just answer for me.
Start me on foreign exchange in this now. Start me on foreign exchange in this country.
I agree and I disagree with this movement, right? For one, Sanders, okay, so they were given a lot of what is called concessions, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, they didn't want to use any local stuff, so they didn't want to use the local food, so the locals wouldn't get anything. They didn't want to use the linen, they wanted to import everything. They weren't willing to pay taxes on the importation. They were so really and truly, the only thing we would have really done is the foreign exchange from their guests. So Sandals is an all-inclusive resort. So their guests really and truly never leave the resort in the first place. So their guests won't really do anything for the island. However, there are people who go to the island just because there's a Sandals there. They will stay in a cheap place right next to Sandals, take a day with Sandals, take all the photos, and pretend there wasn't Sandals. Get money there. So I know it's a give and take of what could happen and what should happen. I think they probably needed to negotiate a little bit better in terms of the concession, but it was Barbados. I think it was Barbados that had the situation. Tried to negotiate with Sanders for a better offer. Sanders up and leave.
Yeah, and that was the point I was making, like with the Exxon over in Guyana, where it is a trade-off that you have to wonder about. If you have something of value, but you are not able to get it, you are not able to get the value out of it, and you have to employ someone or use someone who would be able to get the value out of it, but they are going to exploit you and not give you a fair share. Would you rather get an unfair share or no share? That's a question.
It's n- it, it's not. You see, this is the thing. This is the thing. And why I said it's time to give it up because
Advantage. Depend on you saying yes because you're desperate, right? And if you stand up and say no,
business,
You know what this might have? Game show. It had a game show and game show network
I know what you're going to talk about.
where you had to agree. Oh gosh, right. But it's a technical
It's really. I think I was the last point that the was so the thing is with the no share or share, I agree as well, yes. But the thing is, these countries in the Guyana, these other countries, we don't have machinery to extract at the level like these other countries can extract that. So the thing is, we have to use them. Choice, ExxonMobil. So the thing is, we have to utilize their machinery. It's either don't extract it at $0 or they come in and they take over. It's as simple as we have to.
Island girl saying she going back to hunter gatherer. She rather live as a hunter gatherer on her own.
it has to be Nathan because Nathan, it has to be because listen, we could not like that multinational companies or companies that cut deals. This is either we hate business in general because it has to be. Listen, commerce is commerce. Y'all will never stop commerce. When people was bartering, people was using advantages to they were using things to their advantage in bartering. Literally. Men who had more in the community had advantage. He had power. This is just how it works. Even we're talking about a society that is smaller than a country, operating in a nice little small little tribe, and he barters with another tribe. He knows he has the advantage. That's just it. He cuts deals in his favor. That's just how it works. You see, the human race is not this globalist thing where we equally divvy up fairness and shares. This is not what it is. Listen, if we've been real about it, right, we understand that monopolies in general is bad for economy, but all companies are trying to figure out a way of
To be a monopoly.
A monopoly. And I agree with organically becoming a monopoly, but we generally understand that monopolies are created by governments for the most part. But every company is trying to become a monopoly. You know why? Because every company is trying to maximize their power, their should reach around the place. That's just the truth. If Amazon could now have grocery chains, why not?
Amazon is people who are right?
No, but
Giant because a lot of cell phones they fought a tornado the other day.
Listen,
This is what I'm saying. Do you know where the concept of BRICS came from? Is these economic superpowers. And if you ever read the Economic Hitman, which is what those first world countries, how they make their money, they get rich. They want to now impose sanctions on smaller and upcoming so-called third world countries to prevent them from getting rich the same way you get rich. That's why BRICS came. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa are now saying no. Right? Or they can't be doing one thing and imposing different rules to it. Right? What I'm saying is, if everybody had the mindset and thought, well, that's how it is, right? Then you would to one superpower. And what I'm saying
As it is?
Mindset.
As it
And
is?
how it is,
the world is a unipolar world.
superpower, Nathan.
It is. It will always be that way. There has never been a time when humanity existed where there wasn't a superpower basically running roughshod over the others. That is
that's
what reality is.
but it doesn't have to exist now. And it could be a different way.
Yeah, I agree. But it has to be one. That's what is going to happen. That's all I'm saying. That's reality. Before that is how it is. Because that's why I said the old people saying, who have more corn feed more foul. That is reality. If you don't have the corn, you cannot feed the fowl. That's just the reality. If you don't have the corn and somehow you could steal the fowl will starve to death because you don't have the corn. If someone has plenty corn, they could decide, nah, I don't want to feed fowl. Or they could decide they want to feed plenty fowl. Or they could decide that because I could feed all the fowl and you can't feed any, I will sell you the fowl for very expensive because they have all the fowl. They have that decision within their grasp. That is how it is.
I have corn and you have corn. I will blow up your corn. So now I have corn and you have corn.
Nathan, who is the big player in BRICS? Nathan, who is the big player in BRICS?
China.
I know.
Do China want to play fair with everybody?
No.
Does China want to become a superpower?
Superpower.
Exactly. Thank you. They created BRICS in order to monopolize. You know, this is funny. We want to talk about the fact that BRICS was created in order to combat America. Yes, it was, but let's believe the big country that did want to monopolize everything.
Ronnie, jump in after Ronnie. Rooney, where you going?
Oh, you was finished?
Yeah.
I was just going on the let me just finish one point about
Yes, finish.
game show network had this game, right? So it had 3 people and it had like, a certain amount of money, and then the money was split into percentage. So one person will get 50%, one person will get 30%, and one person will get 10%, right? And oftentimes so you had to agree. Everybody had to agree percentage they wanted, right? And you know what's real funny? 20 times the person with the 50%, everybody to argue, I want the 50%, and plenty times the money at the 50%, the 10%, when they actually finally agree, that was 50 is now looking like the one was 10 at the time. So if you had just at the start of the game say, I will take 10%,
Yeah.
this is exactly the situation that Island is saying. Like, I don't want to take the 10% because you're 50%. If we keep arguing like that, yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but let's say you're looking, somebody else getting more money. If you take the 10%, then nobody gets anything. And is that better? It's not.
They can't make out oil and gas.
And you can't either.
You can make money in other ways. For example, prior to the discovery of oil, Guyana was the food basket of the Caribbean because they had so hard in the 70s with bird that they couldn't import anything for years upon years, and Guyana money had no value. And so they learned to become sufficient. So Guyana have wheat, Guyana have rice, Guyana have every vegetable they could think of.
Go ask a Guyanese. I could tell you because I married someone whose mother came directly. Go ask the Guyanese if they would prefer get a pittance from Exxon and be the fastest growing economy in the world, or if they would prefer go back to the glory of the 90s where they planted and they lived as much, they ate little and lived long.
And it's hard. That's why all them who want to farm to do it.
Yep.
Because I then I see one.
Yes, it's difficult work, and that's why they want the oil, and they will take the deal. Nearly everyone would take that deal. Adriel, I see you jump in there, bro. What's going on?
I would say similar to, especially like what ExxonMobil doing with Guyana and these other third world nations that have the oil but not the means to refine it. The same thing that China does. Right? In terms of loaning money that they damn well the country cannot pay back. So, as I said, in ethically now. It would have been partially ethically, but there's always that 10% 10% ethics now. And this is drain from there. So as I would say, if I have the money, how is it my fault or how you look at me as a bad for your politicians' great corruption?
You know, Adriel, Trump became popular for that take basically, you know, where they accused him of dodging taxes. And he told them, well, yes, I dodge taxes because these people that are telling you I am a tax dodger have made it in such a way I could dodge the taxes. So of course I would dodge them.
Exactly. I have a friend, right? She studied the tax, she studied the American tax code. Which now it is built for the rich.
Yes.
It is built for them to have, right? It is built for them to have. I mean, you have 9 years of lobby and thing, but I mean, right?
Which country have the most billionaires in the world?
US.
States.
But which country generates the most wealth in the world? Which country people still to this day I am not a super America fan. Really and truly I am not. If you get me talking about the whole US dollars, the stealing from us, I agree. But when people like to act, who?
They taking you out China want to be a superpower, but they ain't going around bombing nobody.
Because they can't. Because they can't. But you do understand that the moment the US moves out of the Gulf by Taiwan there, you will see that China isn't afraid to bomb people. You do understand that China isn't afraid to kill people by the droves because they are the Uyghur Muslims. You do understand that there's Tibet, that there are monks that buried still, that a monk self-immolated, caught himself on fire like the US serviceman, just because of what China does. So I mean, yeah.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying, but if you start looking, right?
Yeah.
And the US has had true its country name, right? Which is why this conversation say I don't buy KFC because they support that white country.
Well, I will buy KFC because I don't mind supporting that blue and white country because I have a feeling we will disagree greatly on that. A bunch of terrorists surrounding them. It is what it is.
Say something. Say something.
Yes.
Do you own
Yes.
500 years ago? 192 years ago when dead grandparents get their freedom, it's a land that was on that. Don't mind they sell it after whichever time and moved to originally from.
No, that's not the claim. The claim, no, that's not the claim. The claim is they were forced off. Not that they sold it and moved willingly, but they were forced off. Okay, go ahead.
And I come into your house and I say, right, this is my house now, but you could have true.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not allowed to leave the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I will you could get in the bathroom. So if you have to get water, I will control the water going into the bathroom. I have the light switch to the bathroom also only when I decide they can get water and power. And the ability to do anything under my eye. Right? At what point in time your resistance becomes terrorism?
Well, you see,
Is my control of terrorism?
you see, the reality is that, that's what we were just speaking about. That is what reality is. That's how every country was formed. Somebody went and moved somebody. That's what is done. So I ask you this. These are Arabs. Arabs originated from Arabia. That is not Arabia. How did they end up there in the first place?
However, they ended up.
Also, that doesn't matter, but it matters how I end up there.
Yeah, because it's in Europe. And
No, you just said it doesn't matter how they ended up there. So how come how I end up there matters, but it doesn't matter how you end up there?
because you can't trace the source of how they ended up.
Really? Really? Are you sure about that?
They come and they
Really? So you don't know about the history of the Ottoman Empire? You are clueless about that? No one remembers this?
Of course, no. Of course, I'm
No one knows about the Arab slave trade and the Arab conquest? No one knows about the Arab conquest and slave trade? This is unknown history?
okay. I I'm saying is, while
Is it?
the Ottoman Empire existed, they colonialized by Britain.
After they did the same thing to everyone else, they lost the game they were playing. That's what I said, it's reality. Now, if you want to tell me about a fairy tale utopia we are trying to create, well, yeah, everyone should live in peace. The lion shouldn't eat the deer and the antelope, and yeah, all of that should happen, but that's not the world we live in. The Ottomans were playing the game of empire and they lost. That's what happens. To the victor goes the spoils. A statement developed by the Romans since they were playing the game of empire. The Romans played it, the Ottomans played it, the Arabians played it. If you lose the game, why am I supposed to feel pity for you as the loser of the game? You were playing the game too.
It's not playing a game. Existing occupation.
Wait. No. You are moving the goalpost. We were talking about the colonial game that the Ottoman Empire and the Arabs played, not resisting occupation. How they ended up there, playing the colonial conquest game.
What I am saying is that however they reached there, right? Those people, like the blue and white country, right? If you're saying that they were there first, how come they don't have DNA ties?
Why we moving the goalposts? We're not talking about DNA. We're talking about how they got there. You said they got there and they're occupying and colonizing. I am saying everyone there did the same thing. So who are we to say who should get it?
It's not about who should get it. It's about the genocide of the people that live there.
I would just like to ask.
What is genocide? Define genocide for me, Island Girl sees the way.
Murdering. Get a dictionary.
Then pulling up that example, let me ask you a question. If I come into your house tonight, because you say home, and say, this is my people's thing, all you, just come and slave all you, and the girl in this piece of land, guess what? My great ancestors here first. So you need to leave.
That's the same blue. That's
But
the
when
same
you leave, when you
justification that the white people using. My ancestors, this what land was, and this is our land, right? These are the same people after 1948 with the who were into this land.
Wait. You're talking propaganda here, Island Girl sees the world. There were those people there. Wait. You were talking about the British and the Ottoman Empire. Do you know when the British and the Ottoman Empire and that whole business went on? That wasn't in the 40s. Those people were there since in the 1800s. But again, let's not move this goalpost. We're talking about who has the right to be there based on colonization and empire building. If everyone did the colonization and empire building, how can we say, well, the colonizers who colonized in the 16th century, they get the say, but the modern colonizers can't get the say? What? How?
And everybody did this thing, man.
That's what I don't understand. You can trace the history. You have Arabian people from Arabia who conquered their way through northern Africa. Why do you think all of North Africa is Muslim? Is it just because they were convinced of the truth of Islam?
To be honest, it's North Africa and East Africa.
So let's be real here. Let's be real. That's what I don't get. People want to be conveniently bleeding hearts and conveniently moral. And I conveniently decide when I look at this and say this cannot happen. Conveniently. It's always been happening. And to the victors go the spoils. So that's why to me, that doesn't bother me hither nor thither. To the victor will go the spoils. Because that's how history was created.
So then what you're saying is that you have supporting a country where the settlers come in remove.
You mean like the US?
Like in the West Bank.
You mean like the US? You mean like Europe? You mean like China? How do you think China, this big landmass, if you understand how humans develop over time as small tribal familial groups, how do you think China has control of this massive landmass? Do you buy things made in China? I suppose you do. We are using a program made in China, TikTok. Should we stop TikTok because China is an occupying force?
The thing is this is even the people of China DNA don't track back to where China is, if we're being honest about that. But the thing about it is that I think China is like homogeneous. It's like 90% Han. The Han people, not even the majority of China when it was the States period. That's to tell you how instantaneously Han people have conquered the people of China and the tribes of China in order to become the people who kind of are China right now. So it's everywhere. The Mongols invaded China and they ruled China at one point in time. The Mongols are Asian too. The Tsars have invaded Russia. All that fun stuff. Listen, everybody has invaded everybody to this point. Like to this degree, everybody's settling to some degree on somebody's land. The Romans invaded England, and that's why England has the population has now to a certain degree. Anglo-Saxons invaded England. That's why England is the way it is right now. Like England, just because England people look right doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying, yeah, all of them are settling.
And, well, someone said, I see Doc Egg said it, are you trying to say we as the human race haven't grown from colonization, etc., hundreds of years ago? I think that to be one of the silliest assumptions we made, that somehow we as humans have evolved past these things. That is untrue and foolish. There are still people trying on a daily to colonize their neighbors. It's a more difficult task now. We are still trying to do it. Everyone is still trying to do it. They are trying to do it one way or the other. We are still trying. The US is still trying to be a hegemony. Why are they pushing the pride flags all over the world? You are trying to impose your culture and your belief all around the world. That is the idea of colonization. I know what to do, so I will run the way everything works. The UN, some people would say the UN is a colonizing effort by the global hegemony. The United Nations themselves are an attempt at colonizing. We still do it. It's still in human nature.
Island girl to humans advantage is just having the power to influence. That's just it. To think that you could extract that from humanity and put that outside of humanity will never not be a thing. Since humans knew that they could walk from one place to the next place until the end, humans have never went to anything else. That's the truth. Since humans know they could migrate and then forge on the land and realize the resources on the land, humans have never gone back. And that will never not be a thing.
Wait, Doc Egg says, why is it only happening with this one country? What one country you think is only doing that? Are you unaware of any other war or pressure? Do you know where Armenia and Azerbaijan is, by chance? Is that something you're familiar with? Or is that unknown to you? Are you aware of Ethiopia and the Tigray region? Are you aware of Ethiopia? What's going on in Ethiopia? Do you know Sudan just split? Do you know the Sahel countries? That whole line of this desert, Saharan African countries. Do you know what's going on there? The point is the method of modern day colonization is not the same as hundreds of years ago. And you see, that's the problem that the US bounced into with Russia, because the United States was attempting to do modern colonization on Ukraine. They were attempting to use their way of effecting modern change inside those, bring them over to our side as basically a satellite state of the US. But Russia was like, hold up, you're calling this influence politics, but we are looking at this and it's the same colonization of old. We don't have the same technological advances. We don't have the same media apparatus that you as the United States have. So here's what. While you do your modern colonization attempt, we don't have that. We'll go the old-fashioned way. And how could I say Russia is wrong or the US is wrong? They're both attempting the same thing. They're trying different strategies of the same thing. So how am I to sit on a pedestal here and say, well, actually, the US is right because really, they're both colonizing. They're both causing millions of deaths. Both of them. And we just conveniently choose one side. So if you are swayed by socialist and left-wing politics, you would be choosing generally the Russian side and also the Palestinian side. If you are a Muslim for obvious reasons, you choose the Palestinian side. It's not really about whether it's fair or not. It's about religious bias or political bias, because wars and murders and mass killings are happening everywhere. Azerbaijan keeps killing out the Armenians, Christian people, the first Christian nation in the world. How come you don't hear about that genocide and about that religious ethnic cleansing? Or is it that you aren't bothered by that?
Terrorists and Israel surrounded by terrorists, and same terrorists and children or people whose whole family have been murdered and are resisting occupation. And that's the reality of the situation, regardless of the entire history. If somebody bombs your home, bombs your family, kill your cousin, kill your community, destroys everything that you built, you will obviously resist them.
So what did it, wait. You said if somebody keeps doing that, the resistance isn't about the bombing. The resistance is about what you said is the occupation. So this seems like an intractable situation, because you're saying if somebody bombs my family, of course I will look to retaliate. And that's what Israel says. Well, they bomb me, so I retaliate. And that side says, well, they bomb me, so I retaliate. And me as a Trini, having no dog in the fight because I'm not biased to one of them for religious or political reasons, I say, well, that is the way of the world. And the more powerful one in a bomb for bomb war, the more powerful one wins. Am I supposed to be bleeding heart only for the guy that loses? When he was attempting to do the same thing, if the Palestinians had the military capabilities of the Israelis, they would have done the same thing to Israel. So what are you telling me about?
If Israel wasn't getting support from the Americans, they wouldn't even have the military.
That's the reality, but they are getting the support. So what do you want me to do about that? That is the reality of the world. They're playing bomb for bomb. I have friends who give me bigger bombs. Am I supposed to feel sorry for the small bomb guy?
But Nathan, the reason why Jews even arrived in Europe is because they lost and they got driven out. They died. That's the truth.
Yeah.
They lost their revolt against the Romans because the Romans had superior firepower. That's just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jews understand losing, so they don't want to lose anymore.
And on that note, as I remember something on that note about being worried about one and not the other. The Azerbaijanis are only winning because they have the support of the great superpower of Turkey, who was once the Ottoman Empire, if you're worried about old colonialism and empire building. So where's the worry for that? The Azerbaijan has the support of the major empire colonial power in their region, Turkey, and they're using that to decimate their small Christian neighbors, which are opposing religions, Armenia. How come you're not worried about them?
At this point in time, the Palestinian genocide is what is on the main issue, and to me,
Why?
there's 30,000 people.
How many people died in Armenia? How many died in Armenia? You understand the point I'm making? That's a main issue to you because someone made it a main issue to you. It's not that it is actually the main issue and that one of these countries is somehow the cardinal evil country in the world, the pinnacle of evil and abuse and genocide. No, it's that because of whichever circle you dwell in, they make this the issue for you and tell you which side is the good side, and you select that. But that's not the reality. That's not the reality of the world. Why would they support Palestine? Iran have jets also and bombs. True.
Because
yes, RL, they do.
Because let's be real, that being a hot topic is because the media is just dwelling on the fact of that. If the media were dwelling on the fact of the ethnic genocide of people in Ethiopia and the ethnic genocide of the people in the Congo, then it would be a hot topic there some people do, but Free the Congo is a hashtag. Every people are definitely doing money for Palestinians occupying when majority of the Arab Palestinians are occupying other people's land any way you take it. Their DNA don't track back to when Palestine is. Everybody's occupying somebody's land to some certain degree.
Are there Arabs in North America? In North Africa, sorry, North Africa. Are there nations in North Africa with significant portions of Arab ruling? So should those nations, the Berbers and the native Africans, should they start blowing up their Arab rulers?
Once you resist the occupying power, you should have the right to resist the occupying power.
So they should.
If Venezuela decide to come and occupy Trinidad now, she say, well,
But
No, if they are the superior force, just be occupied.
exact. If Venezuela decides to occupy us, it's either we go and ask the US to help us stop them, or we take the occupation and hush them out. I would, if the US doesn't help us and Venezuela occupies us and I cannot leave, well, hola, buenos dias, buenos dias.
What you're talking about is losing a country's entire culture, a country's entire heritage, entire history. Because that's what they're doing. They're blowing up universities, they're blowing up heritage sites, they're destroying Gaza.
Well,
No, listen. The burning down of the Great Library in Alexandria, Egypt, was an attempt to destroy actual knowledge. And still to this day, the indigenous people of Egypt still have their history. They still have it. I don't think blowing up universities necessary. You see, in the midst of war, when you're having war, casualties is a high possibility, and it's a thing that is going to happen. So children, women, civilian men, all of them are going to die. That is war. That is why the great Sun Tzu said nobody benefits from prolonged war. That's the truth. Nobody benefits from prolonged war, and that's just the truth. So when we want to play this bleeding heart thing in particular, when it comes to the 30,000 people, that's war. Do you think the Jewish side doesn't have casualties? Plenty of people died on the Jewish side.
So this is what my perception of the differences between particular war and all of those others were. Because there's Azerbaijan and Armenia, are they recognized as countries?
yes.
Yes. Congo still recognized as a country?
Some of it, yes. But here's the thing. Here, almost all of those countries would have parts of, bear in mind, just now, before you make that point, almost all of those countries would have unique enclaves that would like to have something different. Like Barcelona, the Catalans would like to be their own country. There's that all over the world. So, yes, they're recognized, but inside of the recognition, there are separations too. But yes, go ahead.
Trying to erase the complete existence of Palestine. Complete.
Where did Palestine get its name? Where did the name Palestine come from?
That's what I saw on the map.
But where did it come from? Who gave it its name? How did the name come? Did these people call themselves Palestinians as they came about?
I can't say.
The Romans, when they kicked out the native population, renamed it from Judea because they didn't want it to have the link that it once had to the native population. They renamed it to Syria Palestina, the Roman occupying, colonizing, murdering force. So,
Yes. But in this modern time, the superpowers like America, Canada, UK, etc., trying to erase the identity of these people.
how are you saying that? That's not true.
Saying identity.
But wait. Before we say it's a false identity or anything like that, how could you say they're trying to erase the identity? What makes you think that? Because they bombed buildings? The US, the Allies carpet bombed Dresden. The Allies nuked Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They were not trying to erase the Japanese identity by doing those things. It was war. They killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people. People who may have hated the war were killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the bombing of Dresden. And there was another one in Germany too. It's war.
200,000 people died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
It's war. And here's the thing. If you're trying to tell me that you believe there should never be any war for any reason and everyone should be living righteously, well, then we go to my religious perspective. And of course, everyone should come to God and submit themselves and live a holy, peaceful life. I think so. But I understand that's not the reality of the world. So if that's not what any of them are doing, how am I supposed to somehow try to evaluate who killed more and who deserve to die more because maybe they killed more here and they lost here, so that wasn't fair? And what are we doing, really?
It's completely different.
I know.
I believe that it was not a war. It was an expulsion. And that's
So why did the Palestinians, in your opinion, do the October 7th attack?
I can't see why they done it. I can't see that it's not normal Palestinians that being genocided. That it was Hamas, right? So it's
Yes.
then the story, because how could it within Israel, because it's not the idea to me, take the length of time to reach there to deal with?
You see, that doesn't add up to me. That doesn't add up to me. If the reasoning is that the Israelis helped Hamas murder themselves, it's still Hamas doing the murder. So, but okay, why did Hamas, as the leader, bear in mind when you say Hamas, they are the ruling government of that country. So why did Hamas do that, you think?
I think I watched a video stations
Mm-hmm.
of the blockade or something having to do with Gaza, which sparked it.
But isn't Gaza always blockaded?
They have been, but if you take away whatever it is, was a resistance based on what I would have seen, and I would have seen that came up within my algorithm in relation to this, right? I have to, at this point in time, I can't remember the exact story, but yes, it was a form of resistance.
Right. And if you're doing that resistance, do you not expect that the people you do the resistance against, that they're going to react? Like, what do you expect from the Israelis in this case?
Well, certainly not a genocide, but then...
But genocide is wiping out the people. Palestinians have multiplied over the last couple decades. So Israel is not trying to erase the Palestinians from the face of the earth. They could have. You just said they control the water and electricity. If they're controlling all of that, they could have murdered everyone if they so intended. The people are multiplying.
Conspiracy theorist, right?
Hmm?
Be a conspiracy theorist. Israel is settling and occupying parts of Palestine that in 1967 we agreed this part is Palestine, this part is Israel, right? And they have been settling in with the bound Palestine and creating what is similar to what was back in South Africa, the stance, which is where you have parts of Palestine but they are not connected to each other. And the connection between them is are not allowed to go into.
But again, these things go into so much history. I remember discussing this at length when it just came out. These things go into so much history. Though the Israel doing that wasn't just of their own volition. When the separation was made, who was the first person to make an attempt to undo the separation? Was it the Israelis?
Yes, it was. After the Arabs, really in 1994, so when they no.
That was the first. Wait. You're starting very late in this conversation. The separation happened in the 40s, right? And what happened?
Initial occupation happened 1940s.
Okay.
After 1940, there was a UN resolution, and then there was
Right. And what happened as soon as that separation was agreed upon?
Right. And then in 1967, the Israeli forces started to occupy.
No. So wait. The Israeli forces began occupation of outside land just off of a whim, just like that. There was nothing else that happened. So the Arab nations, upon the separation, decided, okay, this is fine, we'll accept Israel. When the separation happened, that's what the Arab nations said.
I can't say I would.
Oh, so you're very up to date with the history. You're very up to date with the history when it favors you, but any history that may be negating your point, you are clueless about. Don't you see an issue there?
Doesn't matter. When you come to the war, that's an Arab and the Israeli leader who made their agreement with Bill Clinton. It was an Israeli settler that murdered Israeli that divided, that caused conflict all over again. And the other closest time that they came was in 2016 with John Kerry, which again, an Israeli settlement.
You aren't being an honest discussion here. Training Island Girls Sees the World. I'm asking you about things and you're saying it doesn't matter, like you don't know it and you have no interest to know it. Or is it you really don't know, or you're pretending you are unaware of this?
I can't remember honestly, but
So you don't know about the wars, you don't know about the 6-day wars, you don't know about the Arabs attempting to push Israel into the sea, you don't know about the entire surrounding nations saying that they don't agree with Israel being there, you know nothing about that. You don't know about when Egypt attempted to invade Israel and they got the Sinai Peninsula and then they gave it back and Egypt became allies with them after that?
Stop here. 2 seconds.
All right, yeah.
Sylvie spoke. It's the most important thing that she said. It doesn't matter. And plenty of these people don't care to know what really happened in this place. They just have a side and they're going to support their side. That's their side and they stick them beside the side. Yes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the war.
within the Holocaust and World War II, there be any Jews in Palestine?
Yes, because there were already Jews in Palestine since the 1800s.
To the extent that they are occupying now and settling now.
They started resettling and buying land since before World War One.
Just be real.
Why did they want to go to Palestine? They were quite happy.
Because have you ever listened to those people with their blue and white Star of David talk? They are religiously zealous about living on the land they believe is promised to them. That's one reason, and a major one. So yes, that's why.
I don't believe that prior to the expulsion or their concentration camps, the wars in Europe that caused them to leave Europe, I don't believe that they would have wanted to willingly.
But there were Jews. There were always Jews in Palestine region.
Not to the amount, not to the extent that they are now. And they continuously bring Jews from all have been born there, have been expelled from that land, not allowed to return.
Yes.
I would like to also ask you a question about this time. Who is the government of, I guess, the Gaza? Yeah, because you're saying that it's not Hamas. It's Hamas. Pipelines to build churches and then talking about so why they destroyed their structure. They destroyed their structure to go to war. Israel blocked.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you want to say that Israel is completely innocent in this, then why is it that there's no Hamas in the West Bank, but there are Israeli settlers illegally removing people from their home, killing Palestinians in the West Bank? So let's say, all right, Hamas is bad, Hamas wants to kill, Hamas is creating war, whatever. Why is there a level of carnage in the West Bank? Taking out is settlers coming in, taking people's homes, taking out and burning olive trees hundreds of years old.
Right? If Israelis are so innocent, right?
You are the guy and I'm I never said that there was
Bad guy.
two bad guys.
I-
Two bad guys.
Regardless of
You're a bad guy.
But Island Girl, you're saying the same thing, Ronnie. You're saying the same thing, Ronnie. I'm glad Ronnie pointed that out to me. You're saying regardless of the history, you're saying it doesn't matter. What you're telling us is it doesn't matter what we see. It doesn't matter what the truth is. You believe what you believe and you would never change it. Are you by chance a Muslim, Island Girl sees the world?
I came out as a Muslim. I'm a Hindu.
Do you think that has a factor to play in your stance?
As a matter of fact, let me tell you why.
Well, here's why I will say there's a factor to play. Because you don't know that there were Israelis in the land before 1948. Who was the first prime minister of that newfound Israeli nation? The head of the Zionist movement, the guy who was the foremost push for Zionism. What was his name? Do you know his name?
I know his name, Zul or something.
Ben Gurion, the first prime minister. Herzl was part of that movement. Do you know that Ben Gurion was in that region since 1900 something? Are you aware of that? He was leading the movement for Zionism in Palestine since 1909 or something like that.
Yes, I would have.
So it's not only the Holocaust that dumped all of these Jews there. That's not it. But all of this, it's now 12 and we have to wrap this up. I saw you, Bridge, and I'm not avoiding the discussion, but I'm trying to curtail the discussion. This goes very long and very far. Trust me, we had this discussion. I forget the guy's name. One guy was pretty good on the Palestinian narrative. But the discussion has to come to an end. I'm not just blanking you for that. It's already 12. My issue with a lot of this is I see people taking sides based on other things. They are not evaluating the facts at hand. And when you speak to people like Island Girl, the discussion we just had, it becomes evident to just about anyone who isn't already on one side that you are not choosing a side here based totally on the information. You're choosing a side based on some bias also. Which is, your prerogative. You could do as you please. But understand that this isn't some moral preeminent issue for everyone in the world, and everyone who doesn't see it that way are wrong. No, it's an issue because it was made an issue to you. There are many other issues. And as I say about many of the conflicts in the world, the idea of looking at these conflicts as bad guy versus good guy, we have to figure out who is the bad guy and who is the good guy. This is a cartoon. This is a Saturday morning superhero cartoon, and there's a good guy and there's a villain, and this is the hero and this is the villain. That's not how the world generally works. Most conflicts are bad guy versus bad guy. Sometimes there might be a worse guy, but that's debatable who might or might not be worse. It's bad guy versus bad guy. And you running, trying to pick one side would find yourself very often supporting the other bad guy. 30,000 people gone, 13,000 children. There's no bias in that. So okay, with the number. With the number you're quoting, are you saying that the Allies were wrong for murdering those hundreds of thousands of people in Dresden, Germany, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan?
Yes.
They were wrong.
Yes.
And they should not have done that.
Anybody indiscriminately is wrong. That's why it's a war crime.
War crimes are irrelevant. War crimes are additional punishment put on by the winner and the loser. There's nothing such as a war crime. Because was the United States punished or even seen as doing a war crime for Hiroshima, Nagasaki, or Dresden? So how could you call it a war crime?
Absolutely.
And in that case, anytime someone kills innocent, they are wrong. Well, Hamas is doing that too. And that's the exact same issue we go back to. What's the debate there? What about collective punishment? I believe collective punishment is wrong. But I also understand that collective punishment is the way of the world. Listen, if you and your crew come and damage my daughter, I would feel the feeling to wipe out everyone in relation to you. It's human nature. I'm not talking about what's right or wrong. I'm talking about human nature. And if we are looking at two people living in their extent of human nature, don't ask me to determine one person as the bad guy and one person as the good guy. They're both living in their human nature. All right. This is one of those very controversial topics that will never really get a resolution because people believe what they believe, and that's fine. Let's hear your closing. Ronnie, Adriel, and Island Girl. Did you see what news, Bridge? Let me hear your closing statements. Ronnie, you could go ahead.
It was lovely. Nice to meet. For the next week, I'll get to talk that I wanted to talk about later next week.
Yes.
It was lovely. I like to hear the discussion. Sometimes, I don't like to agree all the time. It
Sure.
makes for good statements.
And knowledge.
Good night.
Good night.
It was created also in addition to it, as they say, even heroes that we look at in and villains we look at on TV, tragedy hits of them is what they choose to do. Is what they choose to do. So some might have morality, some others choose to burn.
Island Girl.
As I said, I wasn't intending to have a say today. So there's three things that I get very passionate about. It's like very open. Rich people, politicians, and those things.
It's strange though that all three of those are very often the same. Ha!
That's what I was going.
Woo! Island Girl.
Exactly.
Rich people never sing to nobody.
That's what
I feel Island Girl had some experience with some rich people in growing up that just blanked all of them off. But
Yeah, she said that.
I grew up
Something
businessman, a young man, because my parents had me very young, and I watched my father very skilled. And if you that it was a mark and scratch a shy on it, very popular when I was growing up. So people next to him when he was to paint in their cars. And I saw him try business upon business, and I have seen businesses that come after
Isaiah.
failures in this, and it has made somebody who's hard in a smart way, so rich people can take advantage of it.
I don't doubt that there are many advantageous people. But maybe if you had an upbringing where you had the perspective of a father who started as a small contractor and went into medium and went into larger, and that was your experience, and you know your father was a very hardworking, honest man, and you saw some wealth enter your family due to that, you would have a different view of what it means to generate wealth. And if you see people around you doing the same thing, you would have a different view. And there are people like that. I know people, I'm not saying me, but I know people who are pretty wealthy, you would consider rich. And I know a lot of them that are honestly very hardworking. And the thing that aggravates me is that knowing some wealthy people, most of them are far harder working than the people you hear criticizing them endlessly. Guys who are on the block 11 in the morning, now smoking the first weed to brush their teeth. Talking about someone who was up since 3 o'clock. And they're going to be back home at 8 o'clock and put in an extra shift till 10. And talking about them like the only reason them were there is because they're thief and a boy. It aggravates me. It really aggravates me. Because I have seen that. Darian, Mr. Drop-In, you could jump in for a closing there because you dropped out so often. Jump in for your closing, bro.
I would want to end don't believe that this is how this should be. Actually, for lack of better terms, don't work as hard as people who actually companies, for example, 17 or what I put myself in the hospital just to get to where I am today. The thing is, we work business people in this country work very, very, very hard to get where they have to be. And the ones who start the companies, the hardest. And the thing is, as it's passed along generation to generation to generation, yes, it gets easier along the lines. The thing is actually to continue.
Darian, we will link, bro. We'll link. Tomorrow, we're here again for the Mindful Live. Tomorrow night, I'll see you guys again for the next Mindful Live, starting around that 9:30 p.m. time. Island Girl, it was nice. I suppose you understand that, having been here a couple of times before. And people in the live, I hope you understand that. When we disagree, it's not anger. The disagreement is good. You're able, hopefully, to learn something from the person you disagree with. So it's all nice. I'm glad all of you tuned in. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. Thank you for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, folks.
Bye-bye.